We're the last of the cowboys, the giddy up gone boys. 18 wheels on the concrete, it's a slow and dying breed, rolling like Jesse James, a modern day outlaw game. If you're out here riding with me, come on back and make some noise. We're the last of the cowboys. Saddle up, boys.
Well, I found myself out here in Idaho, of all places, and speaking with a gentleman here that's known on the internet, a trucking YouTuber by the name of Jay Paydirt. Why don't you go ahead and formally introduce yourself so everyone will understand who we're talking to?
My name's Jeff Anderson. I got a construction company here in Idaho called Anderson Construction. And I got into YouTube about, I think 7 years ago, sharing my videos, and it's become pretty popular, and it's been a lot of fun. So we're headed down to the truck show in Lehigh, and going to show a new invention called the Switchblade Turbo.
Oh, yeah, that'll be that the Great Lakes truck show there in Lehigh. Well, I guess we should probably back up just a little bit and tell some of the folks a little bit more about yourself, especially, what you do. You're a trucker, but you got a piece of machinery back there. So give us a story on what you do for business.
Well, I started out running heavy equipment when I was 8 years old. My dad needed help, so he put me on a D8 cat, pushing a DW20 scraper, and that's how I got started and got dirt in my veins, and he taught me how to work on stuff and how to move dirt, and I got on my own, probably the early 1980s. I started out on my own, and we do a lot of custom work for farmers. We cover rock piles, lava rock formations out in the field under center pivot irrigation. We do quite a bit of commercial. We kind of hop back and forth between the commercial and the farm, depending on how the farm economy is. Last 4 years, the farm economy's been in the tank, so we've kind of shifted gears to more commercial. We just finished a pretty good sized road project for the Bureau of Land Management. Those videos are all posted on my YouTube channel, Jay Paydirt. I kind of like what I do. I don't know anything else. I've got a lot of older cat equipment. That seems to be a pretty good draw to my YouTube channel, is the older cat equipment. You can see new stuff all day, but you can't see that old stuff all the time. Anyway, I maintain it, fix it all myself. That's a real draw to my channel too. People like to see somebody fixing that old stuff, and they say I'm pretty detailed on my explanations, and I like for people to understand what I'm doing, and people are pretty amazed that I can do it. To me, it just seems like, something natural that everybody should be able to do, but I guess I'm pretty lucky that way. I was able to learn that from my father.
Tell me about your dad. You said you got the dirt in your veins because of him. Now tell me a little bit more about what your dad did.
He got drafted into the military during World War II, towards the end of World War II. He was trained. He was going to be part of the invasion force on the mainland of Japan. And when he returned home, and thank goodness he did, they didn't have to invade the mainland. He came home, and the farm ground, the home place, had like 32 different pieces of ground on it. And so he decided he was going to land level that for flood irrigation. So he got a little international crawler and a little scraper, and he went to land leveling, and he got started doing that, and pretty much did that clear into the 70s. And then when they came out with sprinkler irrigation, the land leveling stopped, and then he moved on to just mostly work for farmers, building potato cellars, moving canals, ditches, you know, developing farm ground and stuff like that. When I was 12, we were working 15 hours a day, and he'd have to come and wake me up. Sometimes I'd fall asleep between loads. And so I probably missed out on some of the fun stuff that kids usually do, but I thought what I was doing was probably the coolest thing in the whole world, being able to run equipment like that. And it's given me an extremely valuable mechanical ability. There isn't anything I can't fix, and if you tell me I can't fix it, I'll prove you wrong. I'll figure out how to fix it.
That's pretty cool. I tell you what, it's nice to hear guys that grow up like that and really learn hands-on. There's not much more of that hands-on learning from that age anymore. So that's pretty awesome. Now, are you going to be able to pass some of that knowledge on to some others in the family? Tell me about that.
I have 3 sons. Matt's my oldest, Jake's my second, and Taylor's my third. And when they were little, I asked them, I said, hey, what are you guys going to do when you get older? And they all said, we're going to work for you, Dad. And I said, well, when you get out of high school, you're either going to college, and if you go to college, you can live with me and I'll pay you for your education. But if you're not going to go to college, then you're going to need to find a job and move out. And they looked at me like, what? And so Matt went to school, and he got a degree in geomatics, which is surveying. And he went out and he worked for Scarcella Brothers out of Washington State for a couple of years, traveled around up into Montana, gained a lot of valuable knowledge there. Jake, he went to school, and I think he went a couple semesters, decided that school wasn't for him. I said, well, at least you tried. That's all I can ask. And so he's worked for me full-time. Jake is, he's probably the best excavator operator out of the family. He can also weld upside down, standing on his head. He's good at that. Taylor has a degree in instrumentation, so he deals with a lot of automation, programmable logic controllers, computerized stuff, and he works for a company in Idaho Falls, does really well. I'm proud of him for what he's done. So it's just me and Matt and Jake that run the dirt moving business, and the boys had to learn mechanics the hard way. And Jake will tell you that when they were little and they'd be working on motorcycles, they'd come in the house and say, Dad, we can't fix this clutch, we can't figure it out. And I'd just kind of get them to describe to me what's going on. Then I'd tell them what to do, and they'd leave, and they were so damn mad at me. But they had to figure it out on their own and actually do it. A lot of people I see they just do that stuff for their kids, and they don't learn anything. It's one thing to watch, it's a whole nother thing to actually do it. And so the boys, all three of them have overhauled scraper engines. They've done a lot of stuff on their own, and they put it together and it runs and it works. And so they have an incredible knowledge, mechanical ability, able to read grade, move dirt, pretty well rounded.
That's pretty impressive, no doubt. Pretty impressive, I must say. Tell me about the truck and what you're running there.
This is a 05 Kenworth we've had for, I think, 5-6 years now. We used to have an A model, 81 A model Kenworth. I put a 1693 Cat in it. Anyway, she died. So we needed another truck, and we found this one. This used to be a coal hauler out of southern Utah. Pulled double bill belly dumps, but it was a heavy spec truck. It was exactly what we needed. Had a 550 Cat, A-cert, 46,000 pound rear ends. Typically the short wheelbase, low boy tractor specs. Anyway, the only drawback was it had a 10-speed in it, but we have cured that problem last week, and we've got a brand new 18-speed from Holt's Truck Parts up in Yukon, Idaho. And we have air conditioning now. We didn't used to have in the old A model. And it's been a really good, dependable truck for us. Got 625,000 miles on it now.
Well, that's a pretty good deal. It seems like it's going to do you well. Tell me about the preventative maintenance that you will be doing to keep it running for you.
Well, we plan on doing some oil filtration to it. We want to put a spinner filter on it, clean up the oil, make it last longer. The other thing that I've done is we've taken off the twin turbos, the A-cert turbos. We've gone to a single turbo, the Switchblade turbo by Jim Blaylock. That's made an awesome difference in the cleanliness of the oil. A-certs pump a lot of pressure. A lot of that goes down the crankcase. You put a lot of black in there. The single turbo does not pump that much pressure, but it pumps more volume of air with more oxygen in it. We get better fuel mileage now. The oil stays cleaner longer. As far as preventative maintenance goes, we try to keep this truck in good shape because it's the only one we've got to move equipment. And if we lose the truck, we're out of business. And so we like to keep it greased, take care of it, make sure, fix things before they become a problem. Like I say, it's got 625,000 miles. A-certs typically go 7 to 750 before they have head gasket problems. So possibly this winter we're looking at doing some engine work on it to make sure that we can keep running. One of the things we did when we changed over to the 18-speed was we went through the retarder. This truck has a brake saver retarder. That's all it had when we got it, so we also added the Cat compression brake to it, so now we have compression brake and retarder. I've yet to find a hill where you have to touch your brakes. Typically they say you get about 700 horsepower of retarding capability with the Jake and the retarder. So I'm pretty anal about maintenance and cleanliness. I hate to run things until they break. I just absolutely hate that.
Well, a lot of what you said makes sense. Very technical as well. talking about preventative maintenance, you're pretty technical there, and you did admit to being anal about what you do as far as maintenance. I'm sure, well, I'm not going to say I'm sure, but would viewers be able to find videos on your channel where you explain some things about maintenance of different sorts?
Yeah, I did a series of videos overhauling some Cat D343s, and one of the things that I've had to do is I pretty much do everything, valve jobs, fuel systems, everything, because I've found if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. And so I go into quite a bit of depth about how to do a valve job. I bought my own carbide seat cutters from New Way Manufacturing, and I do an awesome 3-angle valve job, and it makes all the difference in the world on an engine, because that's where you make your power, is in that combustion chamber. And if you can't hold the compression and the valves leak, you can't make power.
That's pretty impressive to be able to say that. When it comes to Cat products, why are you a quote-unquote Cat man?
Because that older equipment that I have gave Caterpillar their name. It's some of the best equipment made. You ask guys that have been around Cat equipment about this grader, this Cat 14G that's on the Lowboyd right now, and they'll tell you that G series was what made Cat famous for their graders and their durability. The cool thing about Caterpillar is they make parts for their equipment, and there isn't much I can't get.
Did you tell me what year that was?
The G series graders came out in about 1974, and this particular one that I'm hauling right now is a 78, I believe. And the awesome thing about Caterpillar is their parts distribution system. They have warehouses scattered strategically all over the U.S. So typically if I order a part from my Cat dealer in Pocatello, it's going to come out of the Spokane warehouse. So if I order that part by 3 o'clock, that's the cutoff, it's on a truck, and it will be at the dealership the next morning. And so I can get that on a stock order so I don't pay freight, or I can get that on an emergency order. It'll cost me a little bit of freight, but it's very reasonable. So downtime is minimal. Sometimes some of the parts have to come from Morton, Illinois, and so it may be a week to get here, but generally 95% of all the parts I need for that old stuff will either come from a Denver warehouse or the Spokane warehouse. Well, there's no other manufacturer that has machines as old as mine. I mean, if you look at me, I'm running equipment. My D9 Cat is a 1969, so it's coming up on 50 years old. I am still putting food on the table for 3 families. I'm paying the bills, and I'm competing against guys with new equipment. And I can do everything they can do, and sometimes I have even better uptime, just because of some of the drawbacks to this new electronic control that everything is being built around.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. That was going to be the next thing I was going to ask about, but you pretty much summed it up in a nutshell. You know, some guys talk about their mechanical motors that they have in their trucks and how they're a little less hassle-free. So I guess that will be the same thing with the machines that you run.
Well, I had a really cool idea that I pitched to Caterpillar. I had this idea that I would rebuild old Kenny with that old 1693 Cat, which was Caterpillar's first big bore on-highway truck engine, and paint that baby some kind of a cat yellow that really pops, paint my Lowboy a cat yellow, and then take one of those 40-plus-year-old machines I'm running and restore that, and then if they would bring me to Con Expo in 2020 to showcase the durability of Caterpillar equipment, because like I told them, there's no other manufacturer could find somebody like me running their equipment that's that old. You just can't get parts for it. They don't support you. Cat does. There's still a lot of that old stuff running. It's the most durable iron you will ever find. And so I think it would be an awesome testament to the durability and longevity of Cat equipment to show people, those of us that are running this older equipment, and how tough it really is.
Yeah, I think that would be. I think that'd be pretty cool. If Caterpillar or anyone from Caterpillar is listening, hint, hint, it wouldn't be a bad deal to have something like that where people can look at it.
This trailer that I'm dragging right now has a 16-tire Jeep that goes with it. This was built by Murray Trailers in California. It was one of their personal trailers because they also do equipment hauling. They sold this trailer to a couple of gentlemen who sold it to the federal government. It got shipped over to Saudi Arabia to go haul tanks and equipment out into the desert during Desert Storm. And when it showed up, being a West Coast trailer really long, they just kind of looked at it, and they had a lot of non-ground bearing detachables that were there, and they used those. So this sat in the port in Saudi Arabia during the war. Then it came back, and the guys that had bought it wanted to sell it, so I bought it.
So what would you have to share with a guy who wants to step out on their own? You know, perhaps they've been working for a company for a while and they want to do their own thing, perhaps buy a truck, start a business and things. So give us some good general sound advice on being successful in business.
Number one, and I learned this from my trucking buddy, and I've always remembered this. He said, "Jeff, nobody likes a crybaby." And he was very successful at moving heavy equipment, because even if it was a difficult job and there was a lot of things wrong, he never called and cried. And they always called him back because they knew he wouldn't complain and whine. The other thing is to be honest. Honesty comes through loud and clear. It's pretty tough to tell people BS and not have them pick up on that. And so I've always been super honest with people and upfront, and that's always come back tenfold to me, because nobody likes a con artist. Nobody likes to be taken advantage of. And I'm not super wealthy, but I pay the bills and I have a pretty decent life. But I'm honest, and I have my integrity. And if a person doesn't have integrity, what do they have? And so my advice, and I get this question a lot from some of my YouTube subscribers, young guys, and I always tell them the same thing. Give your employer more than he asks for. Do a good job, be there on time, take care of that equipment, keep it cleaned out, and show him that you're interested. It's really tough these days to find people that want to work. And so if you can show that you can work, you'll move up pretty quickly. My son worked for Scarcella, and when they found out that not only could he set grade, but he could run equipment and he could fix equipment, pretty soon they had him doing a lot of stuff, and then they gave him a pickup truck to drive. And so employers recognize somebody who's ambitious. So that's my suggestion. Don't be a crybaby. Give it your best and be honest.
I agree 100% with that. And thanks for sharing that.
I was down at my cat dealer one day bringing back a rental roller, and here's a young man who was on that TV series called The Amish Mafia, and he was down there to pick up a 769 cat haul truck, and he had no clue what he was into. He had no blocks, and he was just having a terrible time, so I thought, well, I'd help him. And he kept getting frustrated and angry, and he kept calling his dispatcher telling him he couldn't haul the load, and they kept telling him he had to haul that load. So I got it on there, helped him get it on there, showed him how to do it, got it blocked up for him, chained down, and he was pretty grateful afterwards. But I told him the same thing. I just said, Doug, in the trucking business, nobody likes a crybaby. So keep that in mind. Nothing's impossible. You just got to figure it out. And so he did. I don't know whatever happened to him. I've never run into him again, but hopefully he learned a lesson there.
Everybody's going to be in that situation where they're starting somewhere. There's going to be some starting point, and what do? Either you take the advice and you learn, or unfortunately some people, they don't want to hear anything because they think they know best, and off they go, they stumble and they fall on their face. So it's cool that you're able to share that with that guy.
Well, one really cool thing about my channel, and people recognize it, is I don't pretend to know everything. And so if I'm making a video and it's like this C15 cat engine, I run old stuff. I can tell you all kinds of things about the old stuff, but I don't know a lot about these new electronic ones, so I'm learning. So when I ask my subscribers, and I have a lot of them who are cat mechanics, they're really quick to give me advice and tell me what to do. And I like to pass my knowledge on to other people too, the younger generation. I learned it the hard way, the expensive way, so I don't mind telling somebody how to fix something without costing them a lot of money. But I get subscribers who send me some of the most amazing stuff. They send me tools, they send me lubricants. I had a guy who sent me a die grinder and some roller lock discs to help me remove gaskets and clean surfaces. I have them write me letters, I have them call me, and it's just the coolest thing in the world, because it's like, where else are you going to find that information? And most of these guys are older, they're my age or retired, and they have so much information to share.
Yeah, for sure. That is pretty awesome. And I hope that some of the folks that watch these videos here on this channel, they kind of migrate over and check out what you got to offer. Of course, I'll make it easy for them. I'll put a link somewhere where they can click on it and have a look at you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a fun journey. YouTube has given me a lot of opportunities to do some cool stuff, but the neatest thing is to make friends. I have made more friends all over the world, and all of them have told me if I come to their country that I can stay with them, that they'll show me stuff, and so I'm looking forward to that. It's just been a super experience. Look where it's taken me. I got to meet you. I've been watching your videos for a long time. I love trucks. I want to restore old Kenny, and I want to make a working show truck out of it. And so I watch some of your videos and the guys that you interview, and I look at those trucks and I just drool. And so it's been awesome to meet you and do this video together, Chris.
Well, that's not a problem there, man. I'm just a guy that loves cameras, trucks, and cars, just like any other guy. So put it all together, and might as well put something out there where people can benefit from it. You've been climbing these grades here pretty good. The motor's sounding good, turbo is sounding good. Tell me a bit about what you got underneath the hood, especially on the turbo side of things.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine, Canada, who helps me with my YouTube channel and some of the marketing, and we wanted to restore old Kenny, and so we were talking about updating the turbo, and I said, well, I know a guy in Baxter Springs, Kansas named Jim Blaylock, And years ago, I called him and I said, I need a turbo that pumps more air for one of my scraper engines. And he says, well, we'll just put a 50 thousandths bigger compressor wheel in it. And I said, okay. And that turbo's been on there 18 years now, and I've never done anything to it. So Mike called Jim and started talking to him, and Jim said he had a new turbo that he had invented. It was called a Switchblade. And Jim invented that by way of rebuilding these variable geometry turbos. They have over 20 moving parts in them, and they have a lot of problems. And so he had a dream, is what he tells me, and he came up with this idea. And basically what it does is it closes the air ratio of your housing down by about half, so that when you step on the throttle, you get quick boost fast. And as soon as you start to build up about 10 pounds of boost, then the vane inside opens and opens up your air ratio inside the housing and gives you the full capacity so that you have top end power. So he wanted to have us try a turbo on the D9 Cat, and he sent me one, but we had work and we just never got it on. So he sent me one for the truck, and he said, why don't you try eliminating the twins and try this single, because everybody who's done it, over-the-road truckers have got up to 2 miles per gallon more, which is going to pay for that turbo pretty quickly, and then the fuel savings over time are going to be very substantial. So he sent us a turbo to put on this, and it's done everything he said it would. It's really cleaned up the side of this engine. It's going to make it so when I need to overhaul that turbo, it's going to be less than half the money to do that. It's ceramic coated on the exhaust housing inside and out, and also the exhaust turbine. It's an awesome invention, and it works. And so today he sent me another one we've put on. This is called a Super Core, and this is some newer technology. This has a CNC machined 80 millimeter compressor wheel that is much lighter and thinner than a cast compressor wheel, which is going to give you the ability to spool up a lot quicker. And a lot of guys are buying these turbos and converting over to singles. But the Switchblade is the best of both worlds. It gives you the low end, the quick boost on the low end, and then it opens up and gives you the top end power. It's really quite a cool invention.
I'd love to get a look underneath the hood once we get down there to the show and you get all parked and everything. Perhaps you can give a better explanation on camera of how that works.
I'd love to, Chris.
got some pretty fancy parts there, so tell me what you got.
Okay, this is a Switchblade Turbo. This is an invention by Jim Blaylock, Blaylock Turbos in Baxter Springs, Kansas. This is new technology with old school reliability, and Jim came up with this based on years and years of working on variable geometry turbos and the problems that exist in the variable geometry turbo. Like, there's over 20 different moving parts inside of that variable geometry turbo. And so he came up with the Switchblade, which basically takes this 132 AR housing and cuts that in half to 61, so that when you accelerate, you have a small housing, which gives you quick, fast boost. And as soon as you get up to about 8 to 10 pounds of boost, the cylinder here starts to move, opening the valve inside the vane, and then you have the advantage of the full 132 AR ratio housing, which gives you the top end power. And this is available if you're pushing 1500 horsepower and you want a 141, 158 housing, he can do that too.
What did you just say in layman's terms?
Okay, AR ratio means the size of the housing. So if you're trying to push a huge amount of exhaust through that housing, the turbo will spin up quick, but at some point you need a larger housing to get rid of all that exhaust gas. And so what happens is you get up to that 8 to 10 pounds of boost, and this opens, and now you have that full size housing with one moving part, not over 20 parts. What's inside here is Inconel. It's the same stuff that the exhaust turbine's made of. It's not going to fall off. It's not going to corrode. This is the best of both worlds. This is a small housing for quick boost, and then a large housing for your top end power. You wear this turbo out, you get a new center section. This piece right here, where it's ceramic coated inside and out, will last forever. So this is a piece that you're going to be able to keep. All you need to do is have the bearings replaced and the turbo overhauled. So this is an investment that you're going to make once, and this is going to last you a lifetime. Buy the kit, you get the manifold. With an A-cert motor with the twin turbos, you're going to have oil lines to convert. This oil line that's on this turbo, the pressure line, you can buy this at Caterpillar. This is an oil line for a 6NZ C15 Cat. So you can buy this. On the oil drain, you're going to have to fab that if you have a retarder machine like I do. If you don't have an engine with the brake saver retarder, you can also buy that drain from Caterpillar, and it's going to bolt right on. So as far as special skills go, basic mechanical skills, some tools, that's it. It's pretty straightforward.
Do all the turbos look this way when you receive them in the kit, or can you have them custom made? What's the deal there?
The ceramic coating is an option, and you can get this shiny, you can get it black. The housing, you can have that powder coated, or it'll just come aluminum. You can paint it cat yellow, Cummins red, whatever you want to do with that, you can do that.
All right, I did say last question, but I can't help but notice. I'm just gonna take the camera here and pan down. That's a pretty cool looking toolbox here. What do you know about that toolbox?
That is made by In Focus. That's Tool Crown. That's made in Canada. That's a custom painted cat yellow toolbox. I have two of them. They go side by side. The cool thing about this toolbox is all your tools and sockets are in their own little place. So you know when there's something missing, the last person that used those tools lost those tools. So it's like a super good way for inventory, and it's a nice little, it's a heavy, well-built box.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks a lot, Jeff. It's been a pleasure getting to meet up with you and cruise with you down the road, and we're going to enjoy the rest of the show, and I hope you do as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.